All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Pfeiffer, and welcome to Conversations on Retail. We've got a good number of folks that are registered for today's live Ask Anything event, but out of respect for the folks who have arrived on time, we're going to start on time. And we are so excited today to welcome our friends Anthony and Marissa from Keystone Commerce, which is a full service digital agency committed to helping brands grow in the e-commerce space. And just in time for Prime Day, they're going to spend some time talking with us about some of the platform updates and really how to keep up with the ever-changing world of Amazon. This format is unique in the sense that they are going to be presenting, but we would love for you to be submitting your questions as we go. And you can do that quite simply by clicking on the Q&A button or clicking on chat within Zoom. And then both of our presenters will be able to see those questions and they can take them as they feel like it's most appropriate, either throughout the presentation or they'll hold them for the end. The one other thing I wanted to add before we get started is we're hosting a virtual conference and solution summit with Anthony and Marissa and their team, focused on it's a virtual conference and solution summit for Amazon vendors and sellers, which will take place on January 15th. So plenty of time to make plans for it, but we're certainly very excited about it. So as folks continue to join, we'll go ahead and get started. This is going to be recorded and we'll have it on our platform and of course, push it out on our various social media channels. But we're so glad that you're here. Anthony and Marissa, thank you especially. We'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. And thanks for that great introduction and for hosting us today. This is Marissa and I's first Ask Anything event through Conversations on Retail. So we're excited that we get to meet you all virtually. And just to reiterate what Matt said, if you have questions as we're going through this, certainly don't be afraid to ask them. I think the presentation's probably about 30 to 45 minutes, and we've scheduled 90 minutes. So we'll have plenty of time at the end to answer any questions as well. But I guess just to kick off about us a little bit. So I've worked in the e-commerce space for 15 years. I've had the pleasure of working with Marissa for about 11 of those years. I started with an agency called Sage Tree. And you got to remember 15 years ago, Amazon was still an online bookstore. They were selling more books than all other product categories combined. But we had this idea that maybe the e-commerce thing was going to blow up and be a spot that brands could invest and be a part of a much bigger thing than it was at the time. And obviously, we all know that that gamble paid off. In 2015, Sage Tree was acquired by a company called Advantage Solutions. Advantage Solutions is now a publicly traded company. We were the first acquisition that they had made in the digital commerce space. And then they acquired a number of other brands and created a digital commerce team that Marissa and I were a part of, and ultimately that I became president of. And, we really enjoyed that work. We got to experience a lot of things and work with some great people. But we felt like there was still a space in the e-commerce channel to provide a boutique level of service to our clients, but with the technology and capabilities and team that could do more than most boutique agencies because of our experience. So that's what allowed us to start Keystone Commerce. And, I'm happy to report that a lot of the clients we're working with today, we've worked with for a decade or longer, and all of which are referrals. So that's kind of our philosophy that we've built the business off of.
Today, while, as Anthony mentioned, we are full service and we work across all different retailers. Amazon is, the largest. It is probably mostly in most of your businesses online. And really where we're, going to focus today. When we talk about Amazon, the Amazon business, there's really three main steps as we talk through, the hundreds of different activations that we can think about when optimizing an Amazon business, whether you are a startup or you have a rather mature strategy. The first thing we do is think about retail readiness. Are we on the right platforms? Do we have the right products? From there, elevating, and this is truly table stakes. Are we promoting the product? Are we doing basic advertising? What does our content look like? And then from there, optimizing and refining. This is where we cherry pick a little bit more based on your product categories, based on your budgets, your goals, et cetera. There's, plenty we can do to really, get in there and stand apart from the competition. And refining is so important because we have to make sure that we're always looking at what the competition's doing and how the market is moving. As we started off, Amazon is always changing. It's really crucial to ensure that we are understanding that best in class, that bar is constantly moving, and we need to understand where that is and how we can help achieve that. And so we kind of set up the day and some of the changes that we're talking about. We've really focused on some changes that Amazon's made in the last 6 months in 2024 in the same manner. So kind of starting off from the more, elementary things that affect, everybody playing in this space from an operational standpoint, to getting into more of those, elevate tactics on to more of those like choose your own adventure. This may or may not make sense for your business.
Perfect. Yeah. And some of these stats are probably familiar to this group, but I thought we'd start out with some of these, over 600 million products. So Amazon does not have an assortment issue. They certainly have enough products for consumers to find just about anything they want. And in fact, what you're starting to see now is Amazon get a little bit more curated in some of their products because of claims of counterfeits, even sometimes dangerous products. We saw an example where a company was claiming they had a carbon monoxide detector, and Amazon didn't validate that that was in fact a product that detected carbon monoxide, and a family had gotten hurt from that product. And so there's some legislation now going through through our government to essentially stop Amazon from selling products that could be potentially unsafe. So I think, the trend has always been more and more, and Amazon has grown by having this 3P marketplace explode. But I think you're going to start to see a little bit more of a tailored assortment on Amazon as they start to shift some of their business from that 1P to the 3P. And that's kind of what you see here on that third bullet. So 5 years ago, 60% of their revenue was coming from the 1P market, which is the vendor central side of the business, where you were invited to join Amazon and work with them as a traditional retailer relationship. And that's flipped now to where 60% of the sales are actually coming from the marketplace or 3P side of the business. And again, I think Amazon's just trying to push that liability back onto their partners as opposed to trying to bring some of those products in-house and resell them. Total revenue here, $591 billion. It's about $20 billion short of Walmart, the number one retailer in the country. Interesting statistic is that it took Amazon 21 years to achieve the same market cap as Walmart, and it only took them 3 additional years to triple their market cap. So obviously Amazon is viewed by investors as having a pretty dynamic and diverse portfolio of products and is growing faster than Walmart, which is why they're valued so much higher. We'll get into some of that a little bit more about how Amazon is more than just a retailer in future slides. But the other statistic I loved on here, 67% of households have a Prime membership. If you're looking for a comparative data point, that's more than families that have pets in their home. It's only 1% more, but it is still more than families that have pets. And they account for 37.8% of the total e-commerce market share. So obviously a huge juggernaut. It's important that you understand how Amazon works if you want to be successful on that platform.
Awesome. And we thought it was really, appropriate to kick off with this quote that we love from Jeff Bezos. What's dangerous is not to evolve. Amazon is always evolving. Amazon is always changing. If you think about their guiding principles, their ethos, how they talk about the future, the investments that they're making, they're all very future focused. It is how do they get the right products in front of the consumer as fast as possible at the right price? How do they how do they truly optimize and think about the future in a way that other retailers aren't? Amazon is truly the market leader for other retailers and other tech companies in general, in just the way that they think about and invest in the space. And brands that choose to really think about this and adopt this mentality are usually the ones that are most successful. So you'll really hear us you'll hear us talk about some different changes that have been rolled out in the last 6 months. This is definitely not exhaustive. There's plenty of other beta tests that are currently happening. And, again, just the brands that are, willing to lean in and recognize that being first and fast really makes a difference. With Amazon and with e-commerce in general. Not everything is going to work, but generally the things that do, allow you to truly get a leg up on the competition.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about a subject that probably most of you don't love talking about, which are fees. And Amazon certainly has lots of fees, especially if you're on their 3P marketplace or their Seller Central platform. So you probably saw that they just announced some new fees that all went into effect April 15th. So these are new inbound FBA fees. if you're part of the 3P marketplace and you're on Seller Central, FBA is likely a part of your strategy. Just to create that distinction, FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. So that's where Amazon is taking your products and fulfilling them to consumers. The alternative being FBM, fulfillment by merchant, where you do that yourself and essentially fulfill the order direct to consumers. So again, most 3P sellers are utilizing FBA in some capacity. And this new fee structure, this isn't intended for you to actually see and review here, but it's just something for you to be aware of. The most commonly asked question, as you can imagine on this, is, well, is this better for me or is this worse for me? And unfortunately, the answer is it depends. It depends on the size of your product. It depends on how old your inventory is. It depends on where the product is coming in from. We used to see and have a strategy where we would say to folks that had a lot of 3P competition on their products to put their products into multiple FBA warehouses so that they could capture the sale regardless geographically of where that consumer was buying. Well, that strategy used to be unique, and now it's a requirement from Amazon if you want to get their lowest inbound freight options. So some of the things that used to be a strategy for success is now something that's going to be commonplace in the market. And so these are the things that we just need to pay attention to stay ahead of and make sure that we're coming up with the right products and packages to create those the lowest amount of FBA fees possible. All right, so everyone's probably second favorite thing to talk about, return processing fees. So this is a new fee. If you all remember a little while ago, Amazon came out with the frequently returned item badge. And everybody thought that this was like the scarlet letter that you would get on your product detail page to say, this product is not often liked by their consumers and it's returned frequently. And if you thought that was bad enough, it's gotten worse now where they're also starting to assess some of these return processing fees. Sometimes they can be low, maybe a dollar or two, but we've seen some categories where you have bigger, bulkier products where these return fees are well over $150. We don't have any say in this either. Amazon will assess it when the product comes back. And we've put some things down here that you can do to remove yourself from this program. Unfortunately, it means that you would have to take the inventory in yourself instead of allowing Amazon to provide you with return insights where they could potentially track the inventory and resell it on your behalf. But there are things that you can do, and it's really something that you should just be paying attention to and deciding if you can update your content or improve the product page or improve the customer experience to remove that frequently returned item badge and therefore remove some of the return processing fees as well.
Another recent change is Amazon's really cracking down on variations. Variations, as you might know, are just the ability to link multiple product pages together on one. This is definitely a best practice for like products, whether that be by color or flavor of products. We want to make sure we're keeping the consumer on your PDP and they're not clicking back because they might want the pink product instead of the black. But a trick that sellers sometimes try is linking items that might be kind of similar, but not really, to help boost search results. So possibly taking a new product, new seller, and linking it to a bestseller in order to, help inflate that. Because of that, Amazon is really cracking down, and anything that is not completely 100% above board, meaning like essentially color, size, flavor, Amazon is pulling these things off. Multi-pack is another one. But this has caused some issues because there are some what I would call gray area of items that make sense together, whether it's bundles or, products that address similar concerns. And because it's just really like a bot that's scraping for these things, those are tending to get pulled down as well. So if you have any items that you believe are not like fitting in this perfect variation mold, I would definitely proactively work with, a seller rep or a vendor manager, whoever you're working with, to ensure that, this is something that, either can be like removed from being scraped or, get some sort of special flag to, deter your item from being removed, because it is not easy to get that item reinstated. Another thing Amazon is making more difficult, which I'm sure everybody knows with Prime Day around the corner, is getting promotional approval. Prime Day was officially announced today, which is exciting. It is July 16th and 17th of this year. And what is happening now is Amazon has come out and shared that in order to qualify for a promotion, it is looking at the median price of the last 90 days, which is now defined as your was price. So that is the strike through price that is comparative on your page, or the lowest price in the last 30 days. So the reason that's so tricky is if you have third-party sellers, if you are on a 1P and they're matched, if they're matching other retailers, and the item drops, drastically low on one day, that's the new price you need to comp against and be lower than in your promotion. So that's where it can get really tricky. The other piece is it's dynamic. So all of your promotions can be approved and then it can be kicked out right before the promotion is going to be live. So I really recommend, utilizing tools, whether it's Keepa or Camel to just ensure they're great plugins. They're free as well, to make sure that you understand what your pricing has been historically, so you can ensure that, if there will be any challenges, because this is happening frequently across the board. Some other changes, they increase the average star rating needed in order to qualify for a promotion. It used to be 2.5 across the board. It's been raised to 3, and that does increase around peak holiday times and for certain promotions and events. They also added some ranges to coupons that, needs to be between 5 and 50%. This doesn't, shouldn't impact too many people or too many strategies. The one that will is having sales history. We have run into this before of items that, we're trying to get traction on. A lot of times that was, again, another tactic of running a coupon on top of advertising to help, drive some sales. But if you've only sold a handful of units of something, you're not able to actually add a coupon, and it will tell you that exact reason in why it's denied. Is where I started. Prime Day is around the corner. It is a really fantastic event. I mean, last year, over 375 million products were sold over 2 days. Over $2 billion were saved. It's huge. Consumers are definitely shopping on it. But also, recognize that because the, qualifications can be higher, it is very competitive. Don't discount the halo effect around it. A lot of consumers, might not think about shopping on Prime Day, but there's so much hype that they're shopping early, they're shopping late. So if you don't necessarily qualify for, the events or the events on those days, we do encourage to, kind of look at the weeks around there as well.
Yeah, so Amazon is quietly building the most powerful advertising machine in the world. And I remember when Amazon didn't even have their own advertising platform. So I'm probably dating myself a little bit there with that statement, but they came out with their advertising platform in 2012. And I remember it was so hard to get brands to participate that they would give every brand a free $100 credit to use on advertising. And the cost per clicks were like 7 cents or 10 cents on average. They're now something like 91 cents, I believe, per click. So they've certainly gone up a lot. And this is a huge profit center for Amazon. And honestly, it's really a requirement to be successful in the advertising space, to be participating in advertising if you want to be successful on Amazon. So let's look a little bit at the numbers. I mentioned that average cost per click was 91 cents. Year over year growth, 24%. And again, $20 billion spent in ad spend in 2023. That number is obviously continuing to grow. Amazon actually, as a retailer, does not make a lot of money, if any, off of their retail operations. They make money here in a huge way, and also in their cloud services. About 2/3 of their revenue comes from, or their profit, comes from their cloud services. So it's amazing that this is only 8% of their total revenue, but is a total cash cow for them. And anybody that's participating in this knows that the cost per clicks are continuing to rise. Competition is continuing to get smarter with how they advertise. There's so many new opportunities to advertise with video now. So you really have to come up with a holistic strategy if you want to make sure that you're still relevant on Amazon, because it's no longer about just participating in a small way. You have to get really curated in your approach. I just thought it was fascinating that often Amazon is compared to Walmart. I've done it myself here earlier on, but their ad business is 12 times the size of Walmart's. Again, only continuing to grow year over year and continue to surpass Walmart's ad business. But just that's their next closest competitor, and they're still 12 times the size. Thought that was fascinating.
And they're continuing to really innovate in this space. As I mentioned, it's where they're placing their investments is really in that future growth, and where Anthony mentioned, like, where there's profitability, advertising is one of those places. Video ads have been around for probably about a year now. They've been a big focus. Definitely recommend them. 2/3 of consumers prefer video to imagery or text-based imagery, so it's definitely a way to capture the consumer. And currently they're the same price as a regular ad. So if you have video, there's no reason to not be running an ad like this. And they're coming out with new placements. And this is a great example of something that I very much can see Amazon stop offering this. It's a little distracting. This is currently only available on desktop. But if you were to scroll over here, this actually comes down and you can see it interferes with the product page. It's blocking the title. So the consumer has to really want that, and I think it can be really disruptive. There's a lot of mixed feedback online, and in forums about this placement. Historically, the ads are more lower in the PDP or in the search results page. So just an interesting way, but again, showing how Amazon's all about testing and learning, and the brands that are willing to do as such, often are the ones that are winning in the space. Another thing that we've been seeing more often is Amazon's willingness to partner off-platform. Forever, Amazon was very vertically integrated. They were not able to, there was no integration off-site or with any third parties. And we started to see that lax a little bit last year. One of the ways was with the integration with Shopify, the ability to fulfill through your Shopify site, utilizing the Buy with Prime feature. That was a big step in the direction of again working with third-party companies, and we see it again here with integrating with Canva. And this is so fantastic because it really just allows brands to both streamline and simplify their creative process for advertising content. Like I mentioned, the stat of 2/3 of consumers prefer video to text based imagery like infographics. 80% of consumers prefer video or infographics to text, period. This is how people are shopping. So many people are shopping on mobile. And you no longer have to, hire graphic designers and have, these very costly creative projects. Canva and AI have really just made this entire space so much more accessible. And now, with the ability to just seamlessly upload everything into the ad console, it makes it just so much easier and have the content just so much more available to brands.
Perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit about STV. If you're not familiar with it, it's essentially a platform that allows you to advertise on some of Amazon's other services like Freevee and Prime Video. This is a relatively new push for Amazon. If you're an NFL fan, you know that the only way you can watch every playoff game coming up here this year is going to be through having a Amazon Prime membership. So they are getting into sports in a much bigger way. They're getting into TV in a much bigger way. They also announced that their ad-free experience now costs more money on Prime Video. So if you're not paying for that extra Prime Video membership, they're going to start serving you ads, and you've probably already noticed this if you're on Prime Video regularly. And these ads cannot be interrupted. You have to watch them before you can see your show. And as a result, Amazon's trying to get more content. They've gotten really aggressive on having brands sign up for STV ads by discounting them heavily. And they'll do all of the work required to create an STV ad, from hiring actors and creating a backdrop and settings and really nice production videos, and asking for a very small investment from the brand in order to do all of that. So this is going to be, I think, the future of Amazon advertising, and it's not for everyone. Usually we like to think of advertising strategies as having these buckets, and you should really fill the Amazon advertising bucket first, and then probably get into DSP in a bigger way, and then you start to move into STV, because these ads are very high consideration. They create some nice exposure for your brand, but they're not going to create the conversions that you would normally get from those lower funnel tactics that I just mentioned. So it's not appropriate for everyone to start right away, but it is just something to be very much aware of, that Amazon is looking for content creators and they're looking for brands to partner with them on STV. And if you've already kind of maximized your DSP and Amazon advertising spend, this is a great way to get in on something early and start promoting your products through their other platforms.
Awesome. And lastly, on the advertising front, the AMC currently has a high value audience beta test going on. So AMC is Amazon Marketing Cloud, and previously it was, definitely something you need to have coding experience. You were probably needing to work with an agency that has deep experience in working with AMC. And that very technical data integration in order to truly get the most out of it and engage with this period. They're really removing those barriers and allowing you to target certain customers based on the ads that they've already engaged with, based on your goals, whether that's new to brand customers or brand consumers that might have abandoned their cart. You can specify it by down to the ASIN and the date range, so you can really get granular and go after the consumers that you're after and achieve your goals without coding experience. So opening this up to so many additional brands that maybe didn't have the capacity to engage with this previously. So really exciting, and hopefully this will be rolling out in a much bigger way very soon.
All right, well, we've got a new acronym that we have to learn. It used to be SIOC, Ships and Owned Container, and now it's called SIP, Amazon Ships and Product Packaging. So same idea. This is where I sound a little bit like an Amazon spokesperson and telling you that since 2015, Amazon has reduced the weight of outbound packaging by 41% and avoided 2 million tons of packaging waste through the SIOC program. So it's something that they take very seriously. They're making a commitment to the environment. And they're pushing back a lot of this to brands. You probably still receive boxes from Amazon if you're a frequent Amazon shopper like I am that are way oversized for the products. And so Amazon's asking brands to start coming up with their own packaging. They've eliminated a lot of their bubble wrap too. I'm sure that you probably saw that they're actually trying to eliminate it entirely. So this is a big initiative and something that you should participate in if you can, to create some savings on your products too. That's kind of the benefit for brands if you're using FBA, to not have Amazon overbox your products and send it out, can save you some money too. So just something to be aware of. The naming has changed, but the value to brands and to consumers is still the same as what it was before when it was called SIOC.
Another change, and again, going back to, probably heard about their focus on sustainability and giving back. They've rolled out a new badge called the FBA donations program. So if you are if you're a third-party seller, you're part of FBA. If you have any items that you would normally destroy in field or have returned to you because of overstocked inventory or slight damages, you can actually have it donated to a charity that fits for the product, and in return you get a certification and a badge that goes on all of your product pages. It's definitely, again, it's a great way to give back. It's also a great way to get that additional badge and flag that consumers can sort by. They also are able to you also get a little bit of a boost in the search results. Some of the other flags that have been coming out, the badges that you can apply for are small business, minority owned. Again, those have grown, went from just being a badge to having the ability to search for, to having their own shop. So something that if it's that you can participate in and you think makes sense, definitely something we recommend exploring. Another interesting change is they are expanding Subscribe and Save. So Subscribe and Save is a great program. If you're not familiar, consumers are able to set up recurring shipments. These are great for products that are you get on any sort of recurring basis. The discount, every item that qualifies is part of the program with no discount, but we very much recommend adding a discount, which can be 5 or 10%, just because of the increase in sales consumer or brands see when those discounts are activated for those products. For consumable products, brands generally see about 30% of their sales coming from subscribe and save. So this is truly, a great program. And effective this week, it is being expanded to being merchant fulfilled. So right now, only products that are in FBA are able to be part of the program, but they recognize that there are plenty of programs that are fulfilled by merchants and that would make sense. And so by allowing this, they recognize that they, again, having the consumer at the core, that's always their focus, being consumer centric, and they want to make sure that all of these products have the ability. So if you have any products that you are fulfilling yourself that make sense, I would definitely check that out and make sure that they're enrolled. And then lastly, the customer insights and data in general has become more and more robust on Amazon, which is really fantastic. I'm sure you've seen every time you log into the dashboard, something seems to change. There's a new analytic that pops up. It might be called something different, which is really great and really a great way, again, to just give brands more power, to have data within Amazon to make informed decisions. We're all about grounding our decisions in data. It's super important and, to get shaping your strategy. But one feature that has recently disappeared, and we're not positive if it is going to come back at all, is the Manage Your Customer Engagement tool. So this was disabled in February, and there was a lot of talk of there being a potential date of it coming back, and it's kind of quietly disappeared. You used to be able to send just targeted emails about new products, new launches, any sort of information to consumers. But that again, it currently is no longer. What we recommend doing instead is engaging with the brand tailored promotions. So these are similar in the fact that you are sending emails to different customer segments, whether it be cart abandoners, potential new customers, high value customers, hibernating customers. So Amazon is giving you all of this different data to make these specific campaigns, and you can send them an email, but it does have to have some sort of promotion attached to it. We have seen a lot of success with these and do highly recommend engaging in that.
Perfect. All right, we're coming to the end of our presentation here and to the Q&A section. And I just, again, want to repeat our thanks for Matt Pfeiffer and the Conversations on Retail team for hosting us today. It's always challenging to put these things together because you don't know if the audience has a tremendous amount of Amazon experience or is just getting started. But hopefully some of what we presented today was helpful to you all. I think this is a great opportunity, again, to ask anything specifically. If you have some ideas or questions that we can discuss, now's the time to do it.
Thank you both so much. Looks like we got a question come in, but I'm going to jump to the front of the line. With so much happening so quickly, and in terms of game changers, what are you the most excited about on the Amazon platform? What's been the biggest difference maker, and what should sellers and vendors be paying the most attention to?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the STV ads is really interesting, especially for those bigger brands that have been looking for more ways to work with Amazon on platforms outside of kind of the core Amazon.com space. I think Amazon, again, the reason why their market cap is so much higher than Walmart, despite being a smaller retailer in size, is because they continue to innovate and they continue to come up with new ways to diversify their offer. And they do that very profitably, again, with their outside of retail operations. So I think that there's a tremendous amount of upside and opportunity for advertising within Amazon. And again, there's the secret's out. There's no everybody's advertising. So for you to be successful in that space, having somebody that really understands the right keywords to target, the right way to go after new audiences, I think that's going to be key to future success on Amazon.
Absolutely. And, I agree with that. I would also add Amazon's just like shortening the distance between brands and their consumers. For so long, it was this like brick wall. There was very little insight on who your consumer was. And now they're giving so much more insight on, whether it be from an advertising standpoint, from a promotional standpoint. So brands can get really granular on their strategies. We're not just guessing at who's looking at our product, who our consumer is from an overarching standpoint. We're getting really strong, accurate analytics on who's actually buying our product. And again, with like all of the AI that's come out, the ease of creative, it allows us to really tailor and customize our approaches, our creative, our strategies, our ad campaigns, to hopefully increase conversion, ultimately grow sales.
Yep.
Yeah. Great question here from Sarah. Maybe you can see it, but she says, speaking of customer engagement, do you have recommendations on how to optimize brand content in order to drive and improve search results?
A/B tests. I love the A/B test function. We have found some really fantastic, and I'm like, so I guess I'll go a little more macro. There's so many keyword search, tools out there. Like, definitely recommend utilizing them because they can give you some really interesting insights. We're always shocked sometimes on the misspellings or the, top search terms of what customers are looking for, because you're the expert in your product. You know exactly what it's used for. You know exactly the product use cases and the correct spelling, but sometimes the consumer who might be new to a more nuanced category doesn't. So, like, starting there, from there, then I would do the A/B tests and content. We found a lot, a title standpoint of what's actually making consumers convert. You can also do it. That's actually a test that lives within Amazon. We can't do it directly in Amazon, but testing imagery. What lifestyle imagery is speaking to your consumer? Where do we think that we're, getting that engagement? What do we think that, we're getting that click through? And then same thing, getting really granular in the data and advertising. We can, go beyond just ROAS and tacos, and we can really see like click-through rate, engagement rate, video watch length if you're doing video ads. And that can really just help, test again the quality of that creative.
Yeah, and Sarah, I see that this question was specific to Rufus. I just was able to pull it up here. And so I was waiting for our AI related question. And I don't know if you saw, but the Wall Street Journal came out with an article yesterday that said 71% of executives and leadership teams understand the importance of AI and believe in it, but have imposter syndrome about it. So 3/4 of all executives and leadership teams are kind of suffering to understand how AI is going to impact them. So I think it's a fantastic question about Rufus in general. And what I would say is user-generated content is going to be the most important thing in influencing Rufus. Because if you've ever used it, usually the results that you're getting back is, if I say, hey, does this come in, does this fit well? It'll say, judging by the reviews on this product, it looks like it does not fit as well as it should, or it's larger than it should be in something. And it's pulling all of that from the user-generated content. So anything you can do to influence user reviews, we have a tool that we use that automatically sends out a request to review the product 10 days after the consumer has received it. So we're generating more reviews than you would without getting that prompt. And typically that helps kind of build up that algorithm for Rufus to be able to provide feedback faster on your products. So those are a couple things that I would look at in the future to develop a more robust Rufus strategy. But again, I think we're all still learning. This is so early on. I'm sure it will go through many iterations and improvements by the time we get to a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it may be.
Last call on questions. And while we wait for any last questions, talk just for a couple of minutes. Again, you did a great job of introducing yourself at the beginning, but sort of talk about your sweet spot. What are the companies, the sellers and the vendors that you seem to have the most success with as an organization as you come alongside them?
There's not a specific product category. I would say we like to be across multiple product categories, because then sometimes when developments and things happen in one category, we're able to then find out about it early and fast and share that with some of our other clients that it's probably coming down the pipeline. Again, we've worked with clients for 15 years. We've worked with several Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies. We still work with clients that are big and small, even if you're just starting your journey on Amazon, trying to figure it out. We've got an expert team of folks in technology to help you be successful in the space. Again, I think our differentiator is you get to work with a more boutique agency, but that has the experience and background of a much larger company. Sometimes the larger companies, if you're not the biggest of their brands, you get kind of lost in the shuffle and you don't get those dedicated, smart, talented resources We made that commitment early on that Marissa and I and the rest of our team, we're not going to operate that way, and instead we're going to provide that very high level of service for anybody that we signed up. So that's kind of our differentiator, I would say, and that's worked out well for us for the last couple of years since we started Keystone.
Yeah, great stuff. I don't see any other questions. If you want to offer sort of a final word, again, heading into Prime Day, Super Bowl, if you will, of e-commerce, and I'll let you send it off.
Sure. I mean, I guess what I would just say, Prime dates have been announced, July 16th and 17th. Even if you're not participating in a Prime Day event, like Marissa said, it's great to do something immediately before, during, and after. So if you can run like a 2-week promotion before the 16th and you're able to continue that through, there is a lot of traffic that comes through the platform before and after to look for deals, maybe things that they expected to get but weren't able to find on Prime Day. That's usually the more cost-effective way to do things on Prime Day too, if you're not a brand that has the marketing or dollars to participate in an actual Prime Day event. And just really appreciate everyone for joining today. I think everyone will probably have our contact information at the end of this. If you have any questions, we're always happy to engage, brainstorm, talk through your business specifically if there's anything we can help you with.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks both of you, Marissa and Anthony, for making the time to be with us today. And you can see their contact information there on the screen. They're both very active and easy to reach on LinkedIn. Of course, you can visit KeystoneCommerceLLC.com and learn more about their organization. But thank you both for making the time, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, everyone. Take care, guys.
Have a great day.